then you literally, even though you may be pooling your resources, that could be $800,000 a year that you have in pooled resources, and you still don't get hit with the higher tax rate. But if you actually try to, I don't know, do the morally conscious thing of marriage as a couple, then suddenly you're going to be penalized what amounts to $350,000? Really? Really? How much sense does that make? I mean, come on. It's almost like they pull these numbers out of their hat. Okay, here's the big fish bowl. We have 14 or 15 different possible numbers in here. Go ahead and pull that one out. I can literally see Joe Biden presiding over the Senate as president of the Senate. And that's part of the wonderful jobs of being vice president. Leading the little camaraderie of the Democratic caucus around a big giant fishbowl with just random numbers written on a piece of paper. And they're mixing it around, reaching down in there, pulling it out. Aha! 450,000. That's the mark for the family. I mean, come on. This is a bad deal just because it doesn't do any good for the economy. It doesn't do any good for the American citizens. I mean, okay, you do have the one aspect of saving that additional $2,000 that most Americans in the middle to lower economic brackets would be saving by keeping the so-called Bush tax cuts in place for them. And that's well enough. I mean, that is a worthwhile thing. I mean, it's an accomplishment. I mean, quite honestly, to get the Democrats that are currently in Congress to give up any possibility for revenue is a good thing. I mean, it's a major accomplishment. But the problem isn't in revenues. The problem isn't in the money they're taking in. The problem is with all the spending. And until that's addressed, there's not going to be anything accomplished. There is nothing positive that our government can do until it legitimately starts honest-to-goodness cuts. And that's got to start with actually having a budget in the first place. This continuing resolution baseline bull has got to come to an end. And ladies and gentlemen, that is only going to happen when you as a voter organize with your friends and neighbors who are also voters, and you start making your feelings clear to the people who are currently in office. And if they still can't act as you deem necessary, then you find another candidate and you work for them to help get them elected. And if they let you down, you start the process again. We have, for way too long, sat back and drank cocoa and watched the 30-minute sitcom, whatever's the most popular at the moment. I guess that'd probably be something like Big Bang Theory at the moment. So we're sitting back watching Big Bang Theory, drinking cocoa, and ignoring the fact that while we're doing it, there are several people who are supposed to be representing us doing the dumbest crap they can think of with our money, and then pretending like, well, we're providing public service. We've done the best job we could do for you, and, you know, it's just hard. And now, with no time left, we have to compromise to reach an agreement. We need bipartisanship. The budget cuts that are supposed to be taking place haven't been taken off the table, ladies and gentlemen. This isn't even really a fiscal cliff deal. This is just an agreement to raise taxes on people making more than $400,000 a year. All this other stuff that they said they've made permanent, well, they didn't make it unamendable. So guess what? When the negotiations for the credit ceiling or even the negotiations for the sequesters comes up in another 2 months, because that's about the time frame. They really need to start working on it right away, but they want to push that off for another couple of months because they really want to come and take all of our guns away from us before they get back to the business of running the government. So that's the next big thing. Miss Dianne Feinstein is going to be introducing her bill this coming Thursday. They don't want to do the hard things like actually producing a budget, voting on the budget, and cutting the spending. They don't even really want to cut the planned increases. That's what we've been fighting for to this point. The up and down, the constant struggle has been to try and get the people on the left, and especially the occupier in the White House, to stop spending all of our money. Instead, the only thing they really do want to cut is government military spending. They don't want to spend on defense. Why? Well, because I don't know. Honestly, it doesn't make any sense. Of course, if I understood true liberalism, then I'd probably just be as mentally defective as most of them are. For crying out loud, these people are suicidal. These people literally are nuts. They think that somebody who wants to blow themselves up to kill you just because you're different, well, they'll like us if we give them money. They'll like us if we take their side over Israel. They'll like us if we give them a big hug, hand them an ice cream and a Coke, and say, "Praise Allah, you guys are great." Little secret, ladies and gentlemen, so-called progressives. As a liberal, you are the vermin that has done away with any sense of morality in our culture. You're the biggest reason why those who have distorted the Quran and think they have to blow up all their enemies, you're the reason they don't like us the most. Now, they really wouldn't like us anyway because we promote individual liberty, or at least we have for a few centuries. Individual liberty, that indoctrination of freedom for all people, even though we've been kind of slow as a nation to extend it to all people, it was inevitable, and it was the intention of the founders. I mean, you can argue the point, ooh, these people were slave owners. Some of them were. But even then, they had the conversation, they had the discussion, and they knew that slavery could not continue in a nation that was truly going to be free. So they still framed it towards freedom. Those who have twisted the Quran and convinced those more radical elements of Islam that they need to go blow up their enemies, they don't like that kind of thinking. So they would hate us anyway. But at least when we put forth an image of moral exemptitude, I guess, when we were doing that, they weren't quite as vocal about the U.S. being the great Satan. They were too busy targeting the Zionist regime. That would be Israel, just in case you're wondering. These people want to kill us because we're not them. And they would want to kill you first because that's where all the debauchery in our cultures come from. That's where the hypocriticalness of our culture has arisen from. I mean, I'm sorry. You cannot take the Hollywood elitists, for example, star in movies left and right about killing and raping and maiming and violence, some of which with absolutely no real story or plot whatsoever, and then come out and lecture us on how we need to throw our guns away so that some crazed maniac can't get their hands on it. We have Russia and China making open demands that we do away with our guns. And you guys want to jump on that bandwagon? Why do you really think they don't want us to have guns in our homes? I mean, yeah, it's kind of outdated and it's going to sound silly, but what about Red Dawn? Did anybody ever think about that movie? And I'm not talking about the new one. I haven't even seen the new one. I'm still talking about the original, the Patrick Swayze. Yeah, cheesy as crap. Great 80s movie, though. I mean, the plot being that there could be an invasion if we're not adequately prepared, and who's going to have to defend us? Well, why would a foreign power care if we have guns in our homes unless that plan might still be on a drawing board somewhere, ladies and gentlemen? I mean, seriously, think about it. Why would China care if Billy Bo down the street has a small arsenal? By rights, they shouldn't. It's none of their business. There's only one reason why they would care, and that's somewhere in the secret recesses of their government, they're still having conversations about how do we minimize our losses if we go marching in. That's not conspiracy. That's common freaking sense. Seriously, stop and think about it. Until we can cut spending, there's no amount of raising taxes that are going to help, and there is no spending cuts in this so-called fiscal cliff deal. All it is the folks who are supposed to be conservative capitulating again, and Obama is already out there saying that if you try to get spending cuts with the debt ceiling or with the sequestering, then I'm going to demand even more, he keeps saying, revenue. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to think every time you hear Obama, Feinstein, Boxer, Schumer, Durbin, any of those people say revenue, you should immediately visualize somebody coming up to you with a gun and demanding all the money in your wallet, because that is what they're talking about. Only they're going to use the policing power of government to take it from you. They've got it in their head. They know better than you. They're smarter than you. They know what to do with your money, and you don't. I mean, that's one of the biggest problems I've always had with the whole concept of Social Security. They came out and they said, you're too stupid to plan for your future, so we'll do it for you. Only politicians in true form can't stand for money to just be sitting there when they could be using it to go peddle influence and buy more votes. The cliff deal should fail, because it's only going to hurt the country if it succeeds. If this thing gets passed in the House as is, nothing good's going to come of it. Nothing. Except a few politicians are going to pat themselves on the back. The occupier of the White House is going to stand in front of the cameras and smile and say, look what we did for the American people. The Republicans tried to stop us, but we still did it. Come on, folks. Let's start using our brains when it comes to what we see in politics. Let's stop taking their word for it. And that's all the time for this show. Thanks for listening. Hope you listen again. Good night, everybody.